Good evening, Razorbacks. Welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk podcast, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Networks, where you hear us on 106.7 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I'm Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. We're also brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for the NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action and use the promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus. Bet Online, the game starts here. And we will start tonight's broadcast with another national champion. 51 make that for the standard. I'll say it before we start with the clip. Arkansas is a track school. It set the standard for national championships. I know the popularity, but let's be real, Adam. Arkansas has dominated in this sport, and 51 national championships. I think you can solidify that this is indeed a track school.
Yeah, I brought up last night at HQ Live. We were talking about that, and a funny thing that I guess I was deep diving into some Twitter comments, which I don't typically do just because we all know how those can be. But it was, somebody talking about, can we stop thinking about Oregon and being a track or being, the standard, if you will. And I get it, Phil Knight, Nike, that's where the national championship is held. And I mean, really, if it came down to just Nike's money, I think that the national championship should be moved to Fayetteville. It's the track capital of the world. And I think somebody also in the comments stated that we're about triple the number of national championships that Oregon has. But, Nike's money's going to talk, so that's probably where it's going to stay. But, it's a pleasant thought to actually be able to have.
I'll step in and chime in on another thing about that. They forget about Prefontaine. Look,
oh, yeah.
I mean, look, I don't care how many national championships. Notre Dame will always be Notre Dame in football. Cowboys will always be the Cowboys. The Yankees will always be the Yankees. Honestly, and I don't care how many. Yes, you can call Arkansas the track school and the standard, but you can't take away from Oregon being what Oregon was with Prefontaine. I mean, just demolished. I mean, he set the tone and put track on the map. I mean, there was actually a movie about him. So, honestly, look, just as a sports fan, that would be like saying the Cardinals won 5 straight and now they're better than the Yankees. I mean, I know there's a lot more national champions, but there's a lot more that goes into that. But just for the history, just for what it is, I don't think I could ever look at Oregon and not think of track. I know football and all that, but what Arkansas has done, I mean, again, they are a track school, and it is what it is. But it's almost like what we've talked about, taking other things away from other stadiums, and Oregon being Oregon. I mean, I don't know. It's something about the nostalgia that takes that away.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things. I think of Oregon. I guess I go a different route. Thinking of Nike itself, not Oregon, the university, but being into shoes like I am, I think that's a given. But yeah, we get into the whole, the Nike waffles and the Oregon track and everything that went on before. I mean, the whole history I find interesting, and documentaries, books, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's just a fun conversation to actually have, because you're in a pleasant spot with obviously where Arkansas is at. Unfortunately on the men's side, I believe they finished 7th or something around there.
Yeah.
Which it's tough, but it's one of those things that they'll get back to that spot. You've been number one numerous times in men's track, so it's just kind of you're just waiting for that moment for you.
Well, we'll play the clip real quick of how what that final lap, final leg of that 4x400 relay, and then we'll deep dive into just put it in context what the women did, and then we'll go back to the men's and talk about national championship and how hard it is to win in that level of track.
This is going to be an amazing split. I can't wait for Tom Lewis to tell me what it is.
Well, Texas
49-2.
Texas gets the baton second. Georgia not far behind them. But Aaliyah Pyatt, she's going final.
If she goes 50-point low, they go under 320.
That's Kaylin Brown. Aaliyah Pyatt was on the sideline, and they showed her. Now we see Kaylin Brown, and this is the runner-up at the 400 meters. She's always hard charging, but they had enough faith in the freshman to put her last. What a freshman year she's had this season.
And she is going for it. She knows what's at stake. First of all, if they finish third, which they're not, unless they drop the baton 6 times, they will outright win the national title. She is going for it because she knows what the time was. So this is going to be an amazing time. 3:17.94. They have just obliterated their.
Crushed it. Look, you look at that last leg and you see how far the lead was. They could easily, they wanted that record. And they beat it by 4 seconds. And look, 4 seconds in track is like winning by 28 in football. I mean, it's huge. But to break it down, everybody ran a sub 50 second 4x400. They finished 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the earlier race in the 4x400, which is the first time in history that's ever been done. Then they turn around and score 29 points in one relay that really propelled them to win the national championship. If you heard him, they had to finish third in that to not win the national championship. That just shows you the dominance of how, that third leg, you could see the distance start growing. And the fourth leg, final leg, freshman. If that doesn't tell you where this track team is and the dominance, you have enough confidence in a freshman to be your anchor leg, just like we've seen it in football and basketball, that freshman point guard, that freshman quarterback. Truly amazing. Couldn't be any more happier. We had the coach on after their first national championship, the 50 banner. Now they have to quickly, again, hot off the press, 50-51. So they finally got to 51.
Mm-hmm. Like we were talking off air, it's, listening to that whole race is something I think everybody should go do. Number one, to, see the entire dominance of, start to finish. But then listening to how excited RG3 was during the entire race. A lot of people think of RG3 and they just immediately think football, but he's a track guy.
Mm-hmm.
He also, ran track at Baylor. And it's one of those things. That's why he's on there, because he can bring that extra oomph in the commentating. But he was just head over heels just talking about, even leading up on the third leg, he's talking about the runner's arm movements or this or that. Her form, just every little bit and piece he's dissecting of what they're doing. It's just interesting to listen to.
I love what the guy said at the beginning. You didn't catch it. We talked about it before we come on air. He was talking about, I've been handed this piece of paper and Arkansas is going to finish 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like they knew, Arkansas was going to finish first. They knew that, Arkansas, how dominant they ran in that 4x400. That's the crazy. And what really helped Arkansas was Florida didn't get to run in the 4x400. So that's what they had took the lead in the last event. And that is what won them the national championship last year against Texas. Was they won the 4x400 at the very end atop Texas. And so you look at Britton Wilson, what she was able to do last year for Arkansas going on. She got injured and she's back on track. But could you just imagine it'd be like having a starting five for the Boston Celtics. Look at you had in the Olympics in 28. The 4x400 relay is all Arkansas kids. That would be amazing feat that any college would be proud of.
Yeah, and it's, what was it? They just say almost 4 seconds that they beat their own record. So, right there, that tells you that here they are coming in and, the announcer already knew it. Everybody around him already knew it. So then it was just the runners knew it. They knew it wasn't just finishing first. It was, we're going to beat our own record.
Yep.
And to go in with that much confidence. And because I remember at one point he said if she finished at 50 flat, then they would be under 320 or whatever it was. And I'm like, no, they're not going for 320. Yeah. They're going for, obviously as fast as they can, but they were wanting to crush it, and they did.
Well, you look at Anning, she clocked 49.59, third time that year. I mean, you look at the fourth place was 49.72. I'm going back to the 4x400. I mean, they had, I believe, in the 4x400 relay. Let me look and see. There was only 3 girls. Tennessee had 1, Georgia had 1, and South Carolina had 1 that had sub 49 second split or sub 50 splits. Every one of Arkansas's had the 49-second split. It's just crazy to look at the time. And again, when they had to score the 29 points, that is the most ever by any team, men's or women's, in a single event. They surpassed the Texas women, finished 1, 2, and 3 back in '96, and Florida State women, they scored 27 in the 200-meter with a 1, 2, 3, 6 finish in '84. Like I said, if y'all want to go look at the article of Sean Price talking about them completing the mission, and you just read this, I know we're just talking about one event, but it's 2 races that just catapulted this team to win this. And 3:17, they beat their 4-second record. And even if they would have ran that time, they still would have won because the runner-up was 3:23 and Texas coming third at 3:23.68. So you could have had the last year's team on there and still dominated by 2 seconds.
And it's crazy to think that, you know, the freshman running the last bit of that leg or the last leg, you know, that's somebody that's going to be here for a few more years and probably break some more records while she's here doing it. So, you know, this is definitely one sport that you can truly say that you just keep reloading, but you still get the same outcome year after year. Now, you might have years that you falter a little bit or somebody was just that little bit faster than you, but this is a program that, I mean, it's national championship or bust multiple times a year.
Well, I mean, how would you like being, you know, we talked to him before when we had Chris Johnson on. I mean, you're 2 for 2. You know,
Yeah.
you know nothing but national champions. So I know we'll just joke about it, but you talk about a hot seat if you don't win a national championship at Arkansas track. You know, like I had somebody in the comments about the men's side about, well, he can't win the men's national track. I mean, you're really going to go after the men's track coach? Like 78 times he's been coach of the year. You know, yeah. I mean, it's insane to see. You want to look at the list of national championships Arkansas has, and that's your complaint. Well, he can't win a national champ. I'm like, come on, you know, it's people that just proves right there that somebody out there has always got to be that Karen or that you know, Debbie Downer that has something to complain about.
Well, and I think you're seeing more and more. It seems like every national title, you know, it's crazy to say that every national title that the track team wins, whether it's men's or women's, you start having more and more folks come around to want to admit to, yeah, we're a track school, not a basketball school, we're not a football school. I mean, honestly, you can't really say you're a baseball school because you haven't won one. But, you know, it's one of those things that hang your hat on it. Who cares? I mean, it's one of those things that you get into these conversations about overall national championships, and you can say how many the Arkansas had, and then they come back with, oh, well, it's all a track. And it's just like, but it's still more than your school.
Exactly.
I mean, you want to throw out your equestrian national titles or your, you know, bowling national title, whatever. I mean, you're going to include those. So we're going to include ours. And it just happens to be track.
Yeah. And all of that means is a national championship's a national championship. And I'm glad you brought that up because, again, people don't realize how hard it is to win a national championship in sports like gymnastics and track, because you have to qualify to make you don't just take your team and they run for the national championship. You have to qualify at separate events after your SEC championships to qualify for the national championship. Then you take that team as a whole, and that team collectively has to score more points than any other school. So, you know what? You look at how many SEC championships Arkansas has. I mean, it's ridiculous. what they have. In the last 10 years, they have more national or SEC championships than schools have in their history.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would just think, all right, Arkansas football team, number 1 ranked team all year. Now you can't take your starting 5 because they didn't average this amount of points. So you can only take 2 of your guys to the national championship. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's just trying to kind of, in a way, visualize taking your top team, but you're taking half of it away and then still trying to compete for a national championship.
It's its own animal. It's its own breed. Like track and gymnastics are. There's a lot more that goes into it. Like you said, you can't just show up and, run through teams in a tournament. It's basically, if you don't qualify beforehand, you're not going.
Yeah.
It's a true. It's on a different level of a team sport. It's on its own level, just because it's not a just straight up head to head, Arkansas versus LSU or it's something completely different. That, I mean, even with the past few years of watching gymnastics, I mean, I'm learning as I'm going because I didn't understand the scoring and how everything went for so long.
Yeah, it's very subjective with the scoring because it's a human element. You got 3 judges or 4. I don't know how many 4 judges, how many ever. And they're judging off the difficulty of a routine. Like they predetermine, okay, this is this difficulty, and then you go a 10 off of that. I mean, so it's not like somebody can do an easy routine. If they get a 10, they win the meet. That's where I think it is really cool that they reward somebody for doing a more difficult routine, just like diving. They have the difficulties of a dive and whatnot. But another thing we didn't even add with the track season is when we talked to Chris, they had just come off the indoor. You have a 2-week break, and then you go right into outdoor. So this is going to kind of segue into our second segment topic about this whole Caitlin Clark idea and how many people have complained about the number of games and how many days. Go run an indoor season, win a national championship, 2 weeks off, and then you start preparing for an outdoor national championship, training every day in a track season. Then you can complain about how many games you've played and how many days, and you might make the Olympic team. You never know.
Since we're going to touch on that, I personally, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care. Whoever's on and it's the same with the men's, the men's side. For years, it's like you have so many of the guys that turn it down. Your top athletes turn it down. But, in this instance, I'm going to look back and I'm going to compare Caitlin Clark and Christian Laettner, the dream team, because he came off his year at Duke, got drafted. He was on the dream team, averaged 4 points a game, but he was, I believe, like the AP basketball player of the year out of college. You're doing it for views. You're doing it for the sponsors, for the TV. I mean, that's what you're doing it for, in my opinion. That's why he made that team, in which media is completely different now than it was back then. The only thing that I would say that would be potentially detrimental would be the way that other players are handling it and how she's handling it. I think there's a big disconnect between her and her opponents. And so, but at some point you got to grow up, especially when you're on an Olympic team, and put your differences aside or have a fist fight in a closed practice that you hear about years later. But, just flat out saying that she shouldn't be on it. I just look at it, we let Christian Laettner on the team. What's the difference?
I think during the Last Dance documentary, I want to say that they wanted to have a college player on there, and that's just the one they picked. So, I mean, yeah, they whiffed and should have took Shaq over Christian Laettner, but it's like they wanted to have a player on there. So it's not like, I think he got it by default. They were going to put a college player on there, and they just happened to put him on there. But I see the point of eyes and this. But look, I'm looking at it the other way. I mean, look, you've seen how hard it is to adjust to the WNBA game. And everybody can say, well, she's averaging this many points. Okay, but she's shooting the ball 13 times to get 16 points, and turnovers are out off the charts. She doesn't play a lick of perimeter defense. I mean, you see her waiting on a rebound, like that whole play when they were talking about she elbowed Kennedy Carter in the back of in the face. I mean, it was inadvertent, but she was just sitting there waiting on a rebound. Like, I look at, everybody wants to doctor stats and pad stats. She just sits there and just waits for the ball to come to her. It ain't like she's sitting there fighting for a rebound and grabbing it. I've watched plenty of this tape and, back and forth with a lot of people. She's not one of the top 10 players in the league right now. Sabrina Ionescu is my biggest, who I compare her to, because she was doing the same thing when she come in the league. She was Miss double-double queen coming into the WNBA. She got hurt 3 games in, but she had the same exact numbers coming into the league that Clayton Clark has. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of talk. And yes, she's getting a lot of eyes, but what irritates me is people think that she's the first person to ever do this. She's the first person to score this many points or do all this stuff. Kelsey Plum was doing it. Sabrina Ionescu was doing it. But you go back, look at Cheryl Swoops Cooper when they won the 4-peat. Lisa Leslie. You're disrespecting everybody when you're making up stupid stats of, well, she's the first person to do this and that in the first 10 games. I mean, we could do that about any player.
That's sports media as a whole, though. I mean, you watch any game and it's like he's the youngest player, born in the month of March to, that was born after 8 p.m. to average this many. I mean, they do it game in and game out. So, I mean, that's been going on quite a while. I mean, the thing I will say now versus any previous player is the fact that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, both of them, I'm putting them in as a tandem, as a pair. They are one of the main reasons that as many people are watching women's basketball right now, because these players that we're talking, or, we're comparing to, Kelsey Plum, whoever, Sabrina, etc. Go on. I mean, they weren't filling. They were filling the seats some, but they weren't having sellouts. They weren't having $1 million
boxing.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of the first charter. But a lot of it too is just, I'm not going to say lucky. They came into the WNBA building off what they had done in college, and the media and the WNBA was ready for something else. They were ready for a change in sports and dynamics, especially with the inclusion of everything that goes on in this world. It was just like, okay, here's something that people are watching. We can throw on TV and we can, force it down to your throat just like we do everything else. But people are going to talk about it. They're going to keep talking about it. And so now we're getting with them, especially Caitlin Clark, we're kind of getting what we got with LeBron and other players. It's just force fed to you. You're going to have to see it. You're going to have to listen to it, but it's going to get to a point where people are going to not like a particular player because they are told to, or because they're what's all over media.
It's just going to divide you like everything else in this country. You're either on this side or that side. And if you're on this side, you can't agree, which, she has put a lot of eyes on the sport. Yes, she's done it. Ever since the whole Angel Reese and her back and forth, from last year, and then you carry into this year. But I see it as like a Linsanity on steroids. You remember Jeremy Lin and the hype that he caused. I mean, it's hype. And she's doing a lot, and I should say, ride it while it's hot, because is this going to be here in a year? You got a freshman in USC, Juju Watkins. What's going to happen when she comes into the league? She's going to just to be the next best thing. And I guess that's what irritates me, and is the fact that they're calling her the greatest already. And I don't want to hear anybody say, well, no. Everybody was saying she was going to walk into the league, average 20 points a game. She was going to take over the league. Just because you're the most popular person and you're putting seats in the stands, you're not taking over the league. Taking over means you're going in there and you're producing, you're scoring 20 a game, you're schooling there, not getting held to 8-3, having the most turnover. So I don't want that. That's what you've got to earn it. And just like with this roster spot, she hasn't earned it. And I even tweeted out something that Rebecca Lobo posted. They done this vetting in this process 3 years ago. So, all the players that are on that 12-man roster, they went through the training camp. So, one, what guard are you going to replace it with? And everybody's like Taurasi. Okay, you're going to really replace. That would be like giving Wemby an Olympic spot over LeBron. You're going to take the biggest star in the sport and put in this rookie who's not really going to get to play, like a Christian Laettner. And then guess what? Why aren't you playing her, Dawn Staley? Why aren't you playing her 20 minutes a game? Why isn't she shooting the ball? That's exactly what would happen. And they want it to be about the WNBA and the USA women's team winning gold, opposed to why isn't she playing? Because that's what it would be, whether she's playing or not, or what she's scoring. It would be all about her and not the team.
Yeah, because it's going back to it's about the views, it's about the sponsors, it's about what's going to talk about it. Just like leading up to this, it's why isn't she on it? It's because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Like, I mean, even on the men's side of things, I have no issues with recognizing Wemby's status, his potential, his everything. But I also look at it's a guy that is, unfortunately, and I don't wish this upon anybody, he's one injury away from, let's see what happens, being 7'4". If you're injuring a knee, a foot, whatever, you have a long road ahead of you. And he's also on a San Antonio Spurs team that is hot garbage. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of those things that, and it's kind of like with Caitlin Clark. Look at your team's record. There's a reason why you're putting up those stats. It's because you're able to, because you don't have, players around you to help support you.
And they're easy to quick to point out that their teammates can't catch one of her passes. That they're always looking for an excuse to blame the other people. Well, I mean, she cost them 2 games. She got a technical in the fourth quarter when they were down 2. All right. And then last seconds of the game, you had a pass to her and she dropped it. Well, she don't have garbage hands. When it's somebody else, they automatically are trash. Or Leah Boston, the 2-time back-to-back reigning national championship player of the year. She's horrible because now Caitlin Clark's in there. So, But we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to pick this up right after the break. We have Jalisa Cole from She Got Game Little Rock. Perfect segue into this comment. We'll give her thoughts on this whole subject, and then we'll get into the She Got Game Little Rock League that just started this weekend. We'll catch up on the top players, what to look for, when you can watch them, where you can watch them. We'll be back after the break.
Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new
Can you guys hear me?
Plus, our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you in need of legal representation? Look no further than the offices of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson. As the oldest law firm in the River Valley, we have been serving our clients for over 100 years, with locations in Ozark, Fort Smith, and Spring. Our experienced team of attorneys provide expert guidance and advocacy in a wide range of legal areas, including personal injury, family law, criminal defense, and more. Trust in our history and experience to the results you deserve. Contact the law offices of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson today at 479-782-8813. That's 479-782-8813. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company.
And want to welcome you back to the Hog Talk podcast. And we go to the Meadows Lumber Hotline, bring in Jalisa Cole. She got game Little Rock. You popped in at the right time and heard what we was talking about before we hit the break. And I know we had discussed getting your thoughts on it before we get into the team. But, someone who's running She Got Game Basketball League, heavily involved in women's athletics. I mean, what is your thoughts on everything that's going on with this WNBA stuff, the USA team stuff, and just the impact this is all having on the WNBA, positive and negative?
Well, I want to say thank you guys for letting me come on to your podcast with you. My thoughts, I believe that Caitlin still needs a little bit more time to just adjust to everything that's thrown at her. Right now, it's just not time for her to go to the U.S. team because you got to look. It's so many people, a lot of veterans that's on that U.S. team. Who you guys think that she'll take their spot, literally. And she's young. She's still young in the game. She's 22 years old. And, I just tell people that she's ready, but she's not ready yet. She is still even adjusting right now to the WNBA and how physical they are and how everything is just coming at her to her all at once. So my thoughts are, she could be ready come next year when U.S. or probably like in another 3 or 4 years when the U.S. team comes around. But for now, she just needs to kind of just stay focused on just getting adjusted to the WNBA right now and all the things that's throwing at her, from all this advertisement to endorsements to sponsorships, things like that she has right now. So that's just like my thoughts on it. I know some of the players that I know, they'll probably say she needs to join the team because it's good publicity. It's good for this. It's good for that. But I'm like, but is she going to be a game changer? It's already 5 game changers I can name that's on the U.S. team that can score 30 each by themselves.
Exactly. And another thing I failed to mention before the break was you got to look at the refs. You're just now getting used to the WNBA, and you're yapping back at the WNBA refs, which yes or no, should they be called? It's near here nor there. You're going to an international play. You're going against Serbia. You're going against Australia. You're going against all China. You're going against these other teams and those refs, international play. That's whole nother monster that we ain't even addressed of getting used to those players and those refs. What happens? You do get in there and you don't get a call right, and then you start throwing off those veterans that are on that USA team are just be like, you're benched. They run that team, so it's something that she's not used to. And we could see from those times that Aaliyah Boston's tried to mentor her and how she just kind of rolled her eyes or, just kind of not take, she wants to do things her way.
She's I can just tell by she's just so nonchalant, but at the same time, she's trying to stay professional in a certain type of way. I'm like, but you have to show emotion. Basketball is very emotional type of game, especially as a woman. And so I feel like she thought she would come in and she would think that college is like the same as WNBA. No, these women are a little bit they're 2 times faster, 2 times stronger, and they already got a chip on their shoulder because of so much publicity you already getting, but in my opinion, I feel like the women in the WNBA should take this opportunity to use this platform that she's already broadened across the world. Everybody knows who she is. Now they're starting to know other players that most people would never know in the WNBA because of what interactions that happen. So I just feel like the WNBA should take heed on what she is bringing to the table. Just not only her, Angel Reese, that rookie class right there is bringing so much energy to the WNBA, from blocks to just like different things they do on social media. Like Angel Reese, she goes to different things outside of basketball that can help her once her career is up with. She has a whole nother playing field to go to, and then other players that can go into modeling, that can do this and do that. So this freshman class is coming in as rookies. They're making a big difference on social media from different deals that's coming through. Some deals that a lot of women didn't even get at first, from Adidas, from Nike, from Gatorade. So it's just how the game goes right now.
And that perfectly segues into your league. And I want to just pose a fun question. You've done this in Memphis and I believe Atlanta, now Little Rock. What would their mindset. They see someone like Caitlin Clark come in to a league like this, and just for the mental aspect, we know how great she is, but I'm going to come in here and I'm going to run this league. How do you think players like She Got Game League would take that, and how much would they push themselves to be like, no, we're going to shut her down?
Oh, best believe when you come to Little Rock, we have them dogs here. I can tell you that right now. And so as soon as she steps on the court, they're going to treat her the same way probably the WBA does. Half of our players play overseas, so she's going to get a little taste of overseas players and a couple of former WNBA, that have retired, but they still come to play just because. And so she's just going to get the same taste just like, how the WNBA did, and like how college did as well. So that's just my opinion on it. We're some dogs down here, and Memphis is the same way.
Yeah.
So I just feel like she's going to get the taste of any type of way. It'll be great exposure for us because of who she is, and she'll fill up the seats. But as far as the players, it's just going to be a chip on their shoulder, and they're ready to go, literally.
Well, let's talk about what got you into, the league, what your interest, what piqued you. Talk about your beginnings. Where did you play? What your beginnings in women's basketball, and just talk about the league in general.
Well, I come from a sports family. My daddy was a coach. My auntie and uncles are coaches. Cousins are coaches. So I come from a realm of like being a coach, being in sports all around. I fell in love with basketball since I was like 3 or 4 years old. But I played multiple sports just to see what feels out the best. And basketball and softball was the best thing for me. And then as I continue on, I played AAU ball, and I played at Little Rock Hall. We ended up getting a championship there after 17 years back in 2013. That was big, and we sold out the Balls Coliseum here, which was like over 20K people plus at the game. So, and that was the same year Bobby Portis came out of school. We went to school together at Hall High. T. Scaife, she was the #1 point guard in the nation. So everybody was looking at us, not only at Hall, but Parkview. Like the class of 2013 ball players was like the best to come out, and that was all across the nation. And I also played at Arkansas Baptist College's HBCU here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And then I played a little bit at Prairie View, but I played softball there as well. So my journey with basketball has just been my whole life. And I've always been an advocate to show awareness for basketball for women, men too as well. But we should, as women, have more opportunity, just like basketball for men as well. We should be getting paid millions because we may not dunk, but we have the most high level skills when it comes to basketball. We're very structured on how we can maneuver things versus like men's team. Like they go out based off athletics or based off your name. Women, yeah, you may know my name, but I got basketball skills. I can shoot the ball. I can do this. I can do that. So, and I feel like, being able to bring a WNBA team here will be so great, not only just for the support of women's basketball, women's health, but it's more for the business side of it. For Little Rock and Arkansas by itself will bring so much attraction more. Then we'll start to be able to bring in more like a NBA team or a G League here. Even baseball. I know baseball is coming on up here in Arkansas. Soccer. I recently just went to a Rangers game. And let me tell you, it was fun.
Good, yeah.
The beer was great. I don't drink beer like that, but it was great. I enjoyed the atmosphere. Our team was winning. So many fans was out there for them, and I feel like we need to capitalize on more of those opportunities so that we can bring more attraction, more opportunities for teams to come here, and hotels can get more opportunities of spending that type of money. So overall, I just been in the sports world. I love it. I went to school for it. I just pray that every time I put forth the She Got Game League, not only just here in Little Rock, but all across of what we're doing. We also pray that we'll be all in 50 states. Our goal, my CEO goal, is to create like a mini G League in each state and be able to say, man, we have a G League here for women that can play. We got sponsorships. We get back out to the community. We give money to different schools. We do this and do that. Now we can be able to create a proposal for a WNBA team there if that is a possibility. So it can go either or ways.
Previously we had on Chris Goodman with the Arkansas Punishers, and he kind of talked to us about how they find their players. How do y'all go about finding the players, whether it's if they're still playing or if they've got full-time jobs? Like how does all the balancing act work?
Well, we have a big group chat on
Mhm.
Facebook. And so everything is always word of mouth. We all play basketball together when we was younger. And so word of mouth goes out. And so the way it's set up is each woman pays $100 to play in the league. And with that $100, you're able to get a custom made jersey with your name on the back. Any partnerships that we have with people that are able to give goodie bags to the ladies, like discounts, or they're coming out to this type of event, that type of event. Also getting a backpack as well, that's custom made from the CEO, showing you got your badge, you got your T-shirt, you got some of a little bit everything, even stuff that we might put in there for them as well. And that's a part of each league that we go to, and you play at least 6 to 8 weeks, and that's just in your regular league, and then we take the top 3 teams from each league to play in the grand championship that's in Memphis as well. And so now not only you're playing people in Little Rock, you're playing people from Memphis, you're playing people from Nashville, you're playing from people from different places. Now it's like on a bigger rim for you to play against tougher people. So the league, with that $100, you get your money's worth.
Yeah.
And most of the time we play on the weekends because we are women, so we do have children, we have to take care of them, we have jobs, and so that's why we choose the weekends like Saturday and Sunday, because that is open for everybody to come out and have a good time and be off work for them.
And what's the games, like the family atmosphere? You talk about mothers and bringing their kids. I mean, do y'all try to make this like a family kind of fun day along with playing in the games? You play? I seen the rundown. You had 3 games on Sunday. So, just talk about the game day experience if you come watch the She Got Game League.
Yes, let me tell you, the game day experience for this past Sunday, we had a full house. We had THV Channel 11 news coming out as well. They did many clips for us, which was broadcasted yesterday at 10 p.m. for our interviews from me, the commissioner, and then 2 of our players that have been playing in this league for the past 2 seasons. So it's very family oriented. We had a DJ there so that we play different type of music for people to be interactive with each other. And it's just overall the support that is behind this, not only just from the families, but we have former basketball players that came out, men basketball that played overseas, coming to support this, different organizations. We had a couple of people from the Little Rock Chambers that came out to be able to see and be able to say that, like, all right, your great investment it's good. Now we can talk more about getting banners or getting this and getting that for more marketing for those type of investors. So overall, it was a great experience. There was no fights, thank the Lord. But it's the toughness that comes to women. But
yeah.
But overall, I love the atmosphere. I love how everybody was great. Sportsmanship from everyone, and we have game day players of the week as well. If I can announce that too as well. Yeah, we had a couple of players. Rakia Lane, from the first game, she scored 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. And then from the second game, Martha Burst, she had 23 points and 1 rebound and 2 assists and 1 block. Now this girl is like my height, 5'3", 5'4", and she was out there playing buckets, and she literally just came back from overseas last week, and now she's playing in our league to get her feet still going, and she's probably gonna go back sometime in August. But it's those type of things that's able for these type of girls to come back from overseas and still continue to play on a competitive level as well. And then we had Kimmy. Kimmy had 22 points, 12 rebounds, 12 assists, and 1 block. And she had a phenomenal game. Like, she's one of our top veterans. She plays also in the Memphis League as well. And so she's able to stay in shape. She's a coach as well, out in Cabot High School. And the fact that she can do all this and still be hooping like that, by all means, you got it, sis.
What is some of the level of competition like? Because, with Arkansas fans listening, those may not know, Lex Tollfree is in this league, and that was Arkansas's favorite when she was here. So how is it with competition? Her coming in that had at one point an entire state around her supporting her. Do other girls look at that like, all right, I'm gonna check her, or I'm gonna go at her, just like I know that she would do if Caitlin Clark stepped on the court, like we were talking about earlier.
Oh yes, for sure. It's definitely the same way like that. Off the court, we all buddy. We're friends, but when we cross them lines, it's a different ball game, and it's 0-0. I feel like in this realm, it's very competitive, but at the same time, people respect. You know, we don't go over, each other and things like that, and fight one another. It's more of like, yeah, I'm gonna check you on the court, things like that, but not nothing out of the ordinary. Because we all play ball together, and so each person knows each level of how they play. So, and she played phenomenally last night too, as well. So, I hope to see more outrageous points coming from her. She usually scores 20 some points a game, and things like that, and a couple of other people as well.
I'm going to throw a name out, and this might be before your time. I don't know if you'll know, but Adam, we've talked about this before. There's a new coach down at UAPB, Erica Leak, was cold, one of the coldest ballers in the state. She played at Palestine Wheatley, and I didn't know if somebody would be interested in what if does she still have it? Can she come out there and play? Because from what I remember, she went to La Tech, and she was, straight up baller.
Yes, because typically our age group is 18 plus. The oldest lady we have out there, not to call her old, but she's great. She's in her 50s. So, and she's still moving and grooving with us, and it's on a very high competitive level for her to still be able to play. So anybody of that age range could come out and still play. I'm say this: everybody is not in shape like they used to be. So she is okay coming out here, going at her own pace, because we make sure that people sign a waiver, and we make sure that you have a good medical staff if anything happens to you. Great insurance as well.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've noted. I'm a Fort Smith Northside guy, and I played at Northside, and we've been trying to come up with potentially doing an alumni, and I graduated in 2005. So I'm sitting here looking at, I don't know if anybody's knees could handle an alumni game at this point, let alone a league like this. And then, it's a little bit more scarce once you start getting, older and older. I don't think we could field a team.
Well, what would you do though? You put the knee braces on there. Here comes Jalen and Mason, and
we would have to do it in age groups. Yeah, we would have to do it in age groups, and potentially that one that, hey, if you play or played in the NBA, you can't play. Sorry.
You can be a coach. You can be an honorary.
Exactly. Have him a coach.
No, you got to at least have one spark on the team. I said one. I ain't say the whole squad. One spark that can help y'all out in the stretch.
I'd rather not get dunked on again. So
I know it'd be like playing the Monstars. The full lineup of NBA players and college players played at Northside. But just going back to the league, talk about how many teams you got in the league. Talk about some of the other key players that you didn't name, and dates. When y'all play on certain days, what times, where you play. Kind of give people who are wanting to come out, full rundown on how they can get in on this.
Well, currently we play right now at I was about to say Southwest Christian, not Southwest Christian. It's Christian Academy, which is off of Guys Springs. We play on Sundays. All games starts at 4:30. We have 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30 as well. Couple of players that I didn't name that should be playing in this league is what's the name? Oh my gosh. Hey, I just had a blank spot. But the name will come back to me. It's a lot of great players. It's a lot of names that I can name. But just overall, if you know the basketball world and you've been in the basketball world, most people know most of the women are playing in this league right now. Even the ones that bigger names like Jessica Jackson, T. Skate, a lot of other girls. They're just looking at everything that's going on right now. We had Miss Strickler. I cannot say her name right. But she's formerly a WNBA player, but she's now coaching at Sylvan Hills right now. But she did play last season with us. This season, she didn't want to play. I'm just hoping that, next season or a couple of her girls are able to come out to play as well.
So what would you do? All right, registration's closed, but you had a baller wanting to join up. They've seen it. They didn't know about it. How would that process go of allowing them to get in the league or possibly getting on a team?
Yes, so we do have a free agent team. The free agent team is basically for players that come on late. If a person comes, they still have to pay the late fee, which is $150, because the regular price was $100. Or you can do you can do Afterpay, which we have that option too as well for people. But typically, if you want to really get on the team, you have to pay that 150. Your jersey will kind of be delayed due to you paying, late and things like that. But you'll be on the free agent team, and you'll just be playing with other people that didn't get, on the team or already created the team. Most of these players already create their team, they create their name and however they want to, and they also can create whoever can be their coach as well. And that's another thing. We give coaches opportunities to put this stuff on their resume so that they can be able to say, hey, I have coached overseas players, WNBA players, amateur women, college athletes. And so that helps them to get in there, their foot in the door to get a job opportunity to be an assistant coach, a head coach, or anything in that frame.
And getting the players on the teams, is this like a random draw, or do people usually, all right, we got this team, we're going to carry over into next season? I mean, how does that all play out on choosing teams?
Oh, typically the girls create their own teams, and so they're able to just carry it on for next season. Next season, just pray that, one, nobody gets pregnant, two, and nobody gets hurt. So that's typically how it goes. Or, most times some people do move due to their jobs and things like that. So, but most of the girls are staying together, and they already know, hey, the league starts in 2 or 3 weeks or a month in advance. Let's go and make sure everybody pays their money up so that we don't have to worry about late fees and things like that. So that's typically how mostly everybody stays together. And like I said, we also have a Facebook chat with all the women in there. So we make sure to give them updates about any events that's going on, or updates about registration, late registration, and other things that's important for them to know about.
Oh, I was just about to. But all right, so we're wrapping things up, and so again, y'all play Sundays, and also you're talking about, you're still wanting to get sponsors, you're still wanting to get people invested in this league to really help y'all out. How can people get involved? How can people, sponsor and help out with this league moving, not just this year, but moving on down the road? Because I know you've got big plans for this league. We've talked about maybe Simmons Bank Arena, making this thing huge in other cities. So how can they help?
So we have a package deal for each sponsor that comes in. We also create different things that is catered to your business. So, for example, we have Will Springs Chiropractor that came on with us as a sponsor. He is able to be able to do back screenings for free for our girls, even their families as well, as long as they have insurance and other things. And then right after that, they can do anything, further with him. Also, he is coming out to our games so that not only he gets better marketing for his business by giving out flyers, giving out different things, he's able not only to talk to our players and help them out in any way if they're having back pain, shoulder pain. They also can talk to our fans. Now you're getting more footsteps in your door because you talk to fans that may need a chiropractor or may need this or may need that. So those are just an example of like how he has gotten marketing, and now he is invested into the She Got Game League as well. And that was a custom made package that we can do for people. But typically, if people want to invest, it's between $500 to almost $2,500, and each one is very different as far as the marketing that they need for their business.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I don't know, do you have next week's schedule set yet on what teams are going to be playing who? Or is that a set schedule, or do you go week by week on that? And if you do, hey, go ahead and announce it. What teams we got going against each other next week?
Typically, we send out the flyer on Tuesday and Wednesday because we roll the dice and things like that are already on there. But I can tell you this is going to be a phenomenal for next weekend. Who plays who? I know this weekend was great, but next weekend is going to get better. Everybody is getting back in shape. People are doing pickup games. So just be on the lookout for a lot of more up-to-dates on Player of the Week and other things that are prior to that.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on. We're going to have to get down there before the league's up and catch it on Sunday. So we'll have to get a hold of you and make sure we can get a ticket if there's a full house.
Yes, I got you.
Right. You have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a good one.
You too.
Well, that was Jalisa Cole of She Got Game. Next week, they're playing on Sunday. Again, you heard that they announced the who plays who. They do it on week by week basis, but $10 for adults, $5 for kids, 3 and under get in free at Geyer Springs at Christian Academy. So again, fun family atmosphere. Go watch high level ball. It's almost we were talking about like a similar kind of what they do at the Dunbar League, just a women's version of that. So it's not your typical rec pickup league. This is legit ballers. I'd even forgot to ask her about, like this TBT, like their women's and stuff like that. But I really wanted to ask her, being an experimental league like this, every other sport in women's sports has some kind of alterations to their league, their field. Volleyball, lower the rims down to 9.5. Do the elim ending like in TBT. How much fun do you think? What do you think would be cool if you did that? Just try it out. And I don't know if you're aware of like what the elim ending is, but
the elim ending needs to be like the ending of most games.
How cool would that be? You lower the rims and you do the elim ending.
So I'll play the other side of that is I don't think lowering the rims. I just don't, there's going to be those folks out there that are like, oh, you've lowered the rims, you're making it easier. And I'm not speaking for women here, but it's one of those, they don't want to be held at a different standard with lower rim. But the elim ending, I think, especially in these leagues like this, like TBT, I know the NBA did it in the All-Star game previously, which it makes the last, 4 minutes, 8 minutes of a game like that much better. So that'd be something I think definitely should take. I think some leagues, especially leagues like this, a little bit lower level. I mean, try it out. What's it going to hurt? Try something new. Try something different that's not being done to set yourself apart.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Yeah, they might say that. Well, you're making it easier. But look at softball. Look, they're playing on little league fields. Look at golf. They hit off shorter tees. Anything other than, I don't know if soccer they use the same regulation field, but basketball they use smaller balls and it's smaller balls than men's do. So you're wanting to, and the way I see that is you're wanting to try to find ways to bring more excitement. Look, they've done it in baseball with the pitch clock. They've done things to try to get more people engaged, not have a 4.5 hour baseball game, right? They've done it with football. I don't think it would be hurt, even if you lower the rims down a little bit. I don't think it would be that big of a difference, but I think it would be cool to see, dunks and people getting dunked on and oops and bringing that excitement, just like you have with, like I said, in softball. I said in softball, they need to move the fences back. If somebody's hitting an oppo slap and it goes out of the park, you need to now move those fences back. But I think it would be a really cool thing. But then again, like you said, would they take it as disrespect of, oh, now you're lowering rims? But to me, it's like it would be a fun thing to try and see what happens with it.
Yeah. And it's one thing that, with this league, and you bringing up like, rec leagues and whatnot. Like, I love watching basketball. It doesn't really matter professional or otherwise. And that's one thing is something like this is a lot better to watch, in my opinion, because you actually have referees, you actually have organization, and it's not just a pickup ball that a guy gets slapped on the hand and he's calling a foul or he's calling you take a lot of that trash element of pickup ball that you get, and it makes it that much better. It's a little bit more organized, a little bit better of an atmosphere.
Well, I mean, it's a good topic to see. Maybe, like I said, we're just on here summertime, but speaking of summertime, we'll continue with our summer series Thursday. We're going to do more of a national topics. What's hot, throw some Arkansas stuff in there, maybe have on some guests during the summer. We're going to reach out to some national media, have them on to kind of hold us over to the official beginning to football season, which is SEC Media Days. So, baseball team flopped on us. We're not talking about Omaha or nothing like that, but it is what it is.
We could be talking about, don't talk about the College World Series. Let's talk about Team USA in cricket.
Yeah.
Knocking off Pakistan.
I'm with you.
Like, nobody has, I've never in my life heard as many people talking about cricket in America as the last 5 days. And it's crazy that this is the first time they're in it, and here they are.
But yeah, it's like the summer version of curling. You know, nobody knew about curling until they done. But look, what little I gathered, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this would be like what they did in the comeback. Is you're in a home run derby, you're down to your final out, and you have to hit 6 home runs in 6 tries to win the game. Because I know what their big thing hitting over is called, that's 6 points, but you only have so many balls per team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way what I looked at when I watched it. It was almost like playing skee ball. You got 9 balls to score as many points as possible, and the highest you can get is 6. And I believe they were down and they hit 6 runs, whatever they call them, and ended up winning by 5 runs, I believe.
Well, and it's just, the sports in which we could talk more about this Thursday, but the sports that aren't necessarily popular here, you've still got so many people that are American citizens that's background or family. They may have been born here, but their family was born somewhere else. That's what they grew up on. That's what they grew playing. And now they're having the opportunity to do it. Because you go look at that Team USA roster for cricket, there's not your normal, run-of-the-mill. I mean, they looked pretty identical to some of the other rosters around there. And that's just, finally getting the opportunity to do here what their family grew up on doing over there.
Yeah, I was in Northwest Arkansas, and they had, but you got to think about the people coming in and working at the Walmarts and stuff and their families, and now their culture is coming with them and they're playing cricket. I mean, they are talking about, when I was out down in Texas, they're talking about building a huge cricket facility down there right next to the big Melissa football field that I took pictures of and posted. But, we see what's going on and growing, and that's just another sport. But yeah, we'll definitely have more to talk about on Thursday with the Olympics coming up. And of course, we'll probably have more hot topics. If you have any topics you would like us to debate or talk about, throw them at us all over, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. But for Hog Talk Podcast, that will do it. For me, I'm Porter Hayes, Adam Hall, brought to you by Bet Online, Sterling Soap Studios, and Arkansas Brewing Company. We'll catch you on Thursday.